Well, hey, good morning, 6:30. Thanks for waking up with us. You're seeing a live look from our 5 News Storm Chaser. They're there in the Oklahoma area. We have everything you need to know as you're waking up. From the roads to the weather, we've got it all.
We've got it all, Danny. One thing's for sure, if you're heading out today, bundle up because it's cold out there.
Yeah, it's another cold one. You're noticing, where exactly, are they still in eastern Oklahoma?
I think they're on Highway 112 there right south of Pensacola.
Yeah, so you're noticing that there's still quite a bit of like some ice and snow caked in the roads, especially in kind of eastern Oklahoma and really much of the river valley. That sleet has been making things tougher to melt away and clear off. Thankfully, today we should see a good amount of melting to help clear those roadways.
That's what we need.
But this morning right now, yeah, not so much. We'll show you those temperatures across the region because it is a little bit chilly, especially in the river valley. You might be wondering, why in the world is that the case? Well, some of it's due to the fact that there is still some of that snow on the roadways, so that's helping kind of deflect some of the warmth. Another thing is when winds are lighter overnight, that allows temperatures to drop even farther, and that's why we're seeing single digits along I-40 and then really upper teens and low 20s in the Ouachitas. Now you add in a little bit of a wind, well, notice there really isn't much wind. Again, that's why those temperatures are so cold, because we have a light wind and a clear sky that allow those temperatures to drop. Northwest Arkansas, single digits and low teens. So there is an extreme cold warning this morning for those wind chills, possibly below zero. Thankfully, many of us are staying just above, but still, it's going to be cold regardless. So bundle up if you're heading off to the bus stop. I do know a lot of schools are canceled, but those that are still heading off to school, see temperatures in the teens, warmer by recess near 30. Then heading home, not as bad with temperatures in the 30s. So we'll talk about how we'll see a little bit of a warm up this week, as well as the fact that we're going to see a little bit of a return to colder air later this week coming up in your full forecast. For now, we'll give you a live look at traffic on this Tuesday morning. Head on over to Clarksville along I-40 at exit 57. So you can see not bad there. There is still a little bit of some kind of slick roads. And again, one thing to know with this is obviously those on and off ramps are still going to be a little bit slick. Your parking lot, if you do head out this morning, learning from experience, if you live in kind of a residential area and they kind of plowed into the road or your driveway, you might have to dig yourself out. So maybe give yourself a few extra minutes getting out on the roadways just because of that fact. I'm saying that from experience. Again, we'll have your full forecast coming up in about 15 minutes. Joe and Tiffany.
All right, thanks for that, Danny. Well, we want to take a look at roads across the region this morning as crews continue to battle what's left from the storm.
Yeah, let's check in with our resident expert here, 5 News reporter Emily Moss, joining us here with the latest. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning. I don't know about resident expert, but I have been following this quite a bit for the last few days. Well, this is 540 near Jenny Lynn, exit 13. As these cars come through here, you can tell they're going slower, but you can see that lit up white. That is all the ice that is still caked up on 540. Now, we just heard from Dave Parker, who said that 540 is a priority today as the snow and the ice continues to melt back in and refreeze over the next couple of days as before we get above freezing again. Now, RDOT's Dave Parker says that plows are now doing a different maneuver and a different way to try to make sure that they get the snow away from the roads as much as possible. So that way when they do melt or refreeze, it's not refreezing back on the roads.
It's going to refreeze. So we're trying to push everything as far away from the shoulder of the interstate and highways we can so it doesn't trickle back and create a problem. You know, that's going to be the pattern today. Tuesday, Wednesday. It's going to melt during the day. We'll make some progress. It's going to refreeze overnight.
Now, we're going to have live updates with Dave Parker throughout the day in the morning right here on 5 News and 5 News Plus. But after several days of very hard work, as we just heard, he's hoping that they're going to be seeing the end very soon. Back to you.
Right, thanks for that, Emily. Now, as we're waking up this morning, we're seeing that big difference, road conditions, as Emily just mentioned, in between areas like Springdale, Fayetteville versus Fort Smith.
5 News reporter Claire Everbach is in the 5 News Storm Chaser on her way to the areas where roads are still covered. Now, Claire, just a little bit ago, it looked like you were there towards Oklahoma. We saw the roads pretty slick. So where are you now and what are you seeing?
Joe, Tiffany, we're officially in Oklahoma now. We're in the Pensacola area on a back road. Let me show you what is in front of us. It is very, very bumpy. You can probably even hear it over the microphone. This road is very rough. People are taking it slow for the most part. There've been a few people that have been cutting in and out of lanes, which is definitely something that you don't want to do right now, especially on these back roads where there are ditches on either side and it's very easy to slide. It's very important to be cautious of this ice. I'm seeing snow and ice, and I can barely even see tracks, lanes from cars. That's how bad it is over here. Joe told me a little bit earlier that the roads were especially bad in Oklahoma, and she was definitely right, because this is pretty intense. It's also dark outside still, which makes it worse. So I'd really urge everyone to listen to what our officials and road leaders have been saying. Please continue to stay inside if you can. And if you do have to get out on those roads, go slow, don't cut in and out of traffic, and just be extra cautious, especially on these back roads. The highways are a little bit better, but it's important to be careful everywhere. We're going to continue to head down this road and see what's out there. We'll continue to monitor these conditions, and I'll send it back to you. Joe, Tiffany?
All right, thanks for that, Claire. Been doing a wonderful job out there this morning. Stay safe. Well, as the winter storm has moved down, it has left many roads in icy conditions like you just saw, and in Benton County.
Yeah, especially those rural areas. Those are the problems this morning. The communications director for Benton County saying the crew's been working around the clock with over 1,300 miles of roads. They've been laying salt, plowing snow to get their roadways back to normal conditions. Now, county services are closed today. The icy conditions have made it pretty difficult for employees to get to work safely.
But you do still need to be cautious of like the areas along the sides of the road where there are still going to be slick spots from the melting and refreezing process, especially on the curves, bridges, and overpasses.
Melody Kwok, who you just heard from, recommends staying home if possible to let road crews finish clearing out the ice. She says if you must travel, make sure that you have an emergency kit in your car. A reminder, the city of Fayetteville launched a new map that tracks where snowplow units have worked in real time. It also tracks where and when crews have laid down salt and brine. You can find it on the city's official website. The link is there at the bottom of your screen. Well, we have learned so far 2 people in Arkansas have died from incidents during the weekend winter storm.
Yeah, both of them actually involving driving ATVs in the snow. A 17-year-old was on a tube being pulled by an ATV when he hit a tree there just north of Benton County in Saline County. A 40-year-old man dying there in an ATV crash near Hope. 8 others statewide have also been injured in ATV crashes. The governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, is asking Arkansans to think twice before climbing onto those off-road vehicles as kids remain out of school for another day.
We've had a couple of accidents related mostly to individuals on side-by-sides and off-road vehicles. And so we encourage people to, while they're enjoying the fun in the snow, please be careful and don't take any unnecessary risks.
Well, as the extreme cold continues this week, so does the demand for warming shelters across the region. Genesis Church in Fayetteville has been open since Friday and will be for at least the rest of this week. The shelter provides coats, dinner, showers, clothes, and even a place for animals.
We don't have structured hours that they have to be here. The doors open on through the night. We have crates here where they can bring their dogs to stay with them as well. So it's just something that we do as part of, being a big part of the community here in Fayetteville.
The hospitality coordinator tells us that they have seen a full house every night with about 80 people using their services. Well, again, many warming shelters will be open throughout the rest of the week. Salvation Army locations will be open in Fort Smith and Northwest Arkansas. You can find a list of shelters by texting the word warm to the number right there on your screen. It's 479-785-5000, and we'll send you back a link.
Well, early voting begins today for the runoff in the race for the District 26 Senate seat. Voters will decide between 2 Republican candidates, Wade Dunn and Brad Simmons. With this winter weather, though, those road conditions, we have an update on where to go if you're getting out to vote. Sebastian County early voting there will be at the Greenwood, at EMS and Rescue off South Coker. Franklin County will have voting centers open there at the Charleston Courthouse and the Ozark Training Room. Johnson County, the deputy judge there saying the county clerk's office will be open with minimal staff. And in Logan County, the Office of Emergency Management and the Gerald Hampton Meeting Place will be open. The official runoff election day is next Tuesday.
Well, U.S. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino and some federal agents are expected to leave Minneapolis as soon as today, according to CBS News.
Which comes after 2 U.S. citizens, Renee Good and Alex Preedy, were shot and killed by federal agents there in less than 3 weeks. An agent killed 37-year-old ICU nurse Alex Preedy on Saturday. Ovino strongly defending his agents that day.
This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
Multiple videos from the scene contradict this statement on social media. The president said that he had good calls with Minnesota's governor and Minneapolis's mayor. Trump says that his border czar, Tom Homan, will now coordinate with state and local officials on the ground.
We hope Governor Walz will do the right thing and continue to work with President Trump to keep the American people safe.
Well, Governor Walz's office said in a statement the president agreed to look into reducing the number of federal agents in Minnesota. Frey, the mayor, also says that he'll continue to push for an end to ramped up federal immigration operations and that he plans to discuss next steps with Homan today.